cares for us. We see how he rescued the chosen people from slavery in Egypt and led them to the promised land. But there's a mysterious defect in human nature that we hear about in that first reading, that even when Moses was up the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments, the terms of the covenant, where God would say, I will be your God, you will be my people, I will care for you, I will provide for you, I will give you many blessings. Down at the bottom of the mountain, the people create a golden calf and begin to go into idolatry. They were seeking some kind of security and connection. They didn't seem to have it with the one true God who is invisible, so they made their own God that they could see and experience a connection. In our own lives, we are familiar with the Angelus bell. Here at the cathedral and many churches, at 12 noon, the bells ring to announce the reminder about the Incarnation. And then in the evening at 6 p.m. In days past, this was actually a prayer signal that people would pray. Oftentimes now, it's a signal that is unheeded. We need to connect with God. Unlike the people of old that we hear about in that first reading who forgot about the one true God saving them, we must connect to God all through the day, moment by moment. In a recent address, Pope Francis said, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could refer to the Holy Scriptures as often as we refer to our smartphones?" It seems that the smartphone has become a new mini-God for people, for it seems to control our lives. There are different surveys out. One says Americans spend 5 hours on their mobile device each and every day. And this particular survey says that Americans check their phones at least 96 times a day. Another study says it's more like 200 times a day. And if somehow we put that cell phone someplace and we forget where it is, there is anxiety. That cell phone technology has depleted human interaction. 67% of people say that they have texted somebody in the same room instead of speaking to them in person. And almost half of Americans said that their phone is their most valuable possession. And people go into a panic when their battery goes below 20%. So the study goes on. And the studies continue to say that overuse can start to create an addiction. And then problems, emotional difficulties, shyness, poor cognitive function, low self-esteem. So, as we hear Pope Francis say, we look at our cell phones so many times a day. Yes, sometimes it's for a good purpose, but often it is for entertainment or a waste of time. Can we make a transition to prayerfulness? Can we turn off our phone a little for a bit and say, I'm going to be quiet for an hour? Saturday here at the cathedral will be a retreat day for about 40 individuals. Father John Mary Thompson from St. Vincent Archabbey will be here to lead that one-day retreat. And it's a silent retreat. So at the very beginning, he will say, this time from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, it's going to be phone free. No texting, no phone calls. Just silence. Silence to hear God speaking. The opportunity to communicate with God heart to heart. Not to be distracted. So those Israelites, they were unhappy because they were uncomfortable with the silence. Moses was up the mountain 40 days. They didn't hear anything. And they went back into paganism. So let's ask the Lord for that grace that we can be looking forward to that sacred silence, that he can touch our hearts, that we can refer to the Lord all through the day for giving praise for wonderful things his grace shared with us, to ask his help when there was a challenge, to ask forgiveness when we go off the path, to give him praise and glory for all the blessings that he has given us. Jesus comes among us to invite us to that deep, wonderful life. He tells the audience today in the gospel, he has come to give us life, a sharing in God's life. So the more that we talk to the Lord through the day, and when we come to Holy Mass and speak to the Lord heart to heart in the most wonderful way, then that covenant, that new covenant, is strengthened and deepened in our hearts, that we, the children of God, are on our way to our promised land, eternal life in heaven.